Hi everyone, we're back. We're doing section 2.3, other types of graphs. And as you can see below me, I have a graph from the book. It's a little bit blurry because my camera isn't as good as I would like it to be. It's on page 75. This is from page 75 in the book, and it shows almost all the graphs that we're looking at. We're looking at a bar graph, a Pareto chart, a time series. We're kind of looking at a pie graph and a dot plot. And then the last thing we're looking at is stem and leaf also. And so I'm going to go over each one of these types of graphs and when you might use them or how you might use them. And that'll be the end of this section when we finish all those graphs. So the first thing that we want to talk about is a bar graph. So let's move up. And that's that first graph up here, the bar graph. And this one is a horizontal bar graph. You can do horizontal or vertical bar graphs. So let's define a bar graph. So a bar graph represents the data by using bars, vertical, horizontal. So represents the data by using vertical or horizontal bars whose heights or lengths represent the frequency of the data. Now these differ from histograms in that they are set up so that if you're in categories, the categorical data is in the order of the frequency from highest to lowest. So I said that backwards. The categorical data is listed in increasing order from lowest to highest. If you don't have categorical data, if you have quantitative data, so numerical data, then you're just going to put it in the order of the numbers of the classes. So let's look at and there's always spacing between bars. And this is how it differs from histograms. Histograms are always numerical data, and the spacing between the bars, there is none. They're always butted up against each other. But in bar graphs, you always have space between bars. And what we mean is like this empty space between the bars here, where in histograms, we didn't have any spacing between bars. All right, so let's do an example. So this is number 2 in your book. I'm trying to find the page that it's on. Yeah, worldwide sales of fast food. So number 2 on page 90. And we have worldwide sales of fast foods. And then they have the amount of sales in billions of dollars for several fast food franchises for a specific year are shown. And so here we go. Here's the franchise and sales in billions of dollars. So the first one we have listed is Wendy's. And they have $8.7 billion sold. KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, $14.2 billion sold. Pizza Hut. And this is 9.3. Burger King. That's 12.7. And Subway. That's 10.0. Okay, so those are the only franchises we're looking at. And what we want to do is create a vertical and horizontal bar graph for these. So remember, these bar graphs, they are going to have spacing between them, and we're going to go from smallest to largest. So let's start with a vertical bar graph. So with a vertical bar graph, the x-axis is the categories, and the y-axis is the frequency or number. Okay, and remember, again, bars don't touch. So here we go. We're going to go y-axis and x-axis. And so we're doing frequency, and we have to increase from smallest to largest. So the first one we're going to hit is Wendy's. And I'm going to call it W for Wendy's. The next one that's going to come up is Pizza Hut. Then after the Pizza Hut, we have Subway. And then after Subway, we have Burger King. And then after Burger King, we have KFC. All right, and now we've got to go with the frequency or the amount. This is in billions of dollars. Okay, and so the first one is 8.7, and that's the smallest value, and 14.2 is the largest value. So let's see, we're going to go by, let's go by threes. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay, so the first one, 8.7. So Wendy's is 8.7. 8.7 is somewhere up here, and I'm going to make a bar. They're all got to have basically the same width, but the height is got to correspond to that billions of dollars. So there's Wendy's, that's about 8.7. And then we do Pizza Hut, 9.3. Those should be the same width. So this one's a little bit, there we go. Okay, Subway is 10. Oops. Okay, Burger King is 12.7. And KFC is 14.2. Okay, so that's my vertical bar graph. Now we got to do the same thing with horizontal. So you can imagine what happens with horizontal. So horizontal bar graph. With a horizontal bar graph, the x-axis is the frequency and the y-axis is the categories. So let's draw that graph again. Okay, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, 15. Okay, and then I've got to go Wendy's, Pizza Hut, Subway, BK, and KFC. All right, so Wendy's again goes to 8.7. Pizza Hut goes to 9.3. Subway goes to 10. IDK is 12.7. And KFC is 14.2. So I'm kind of guesstimating here on where those numbers are. But that's a horizontal bar graph. Okay, so that's a vertical and horizontal bar graphs. Notice you can kind of color them in so you can see these a little bit better. But we have spaces between them. When it's categorical, they should be increasing in height as you move from left to right or from bottom to top. And I think that's it for the bar graphs. Let me check my notes really quick. And then the next thing we're going to cover is a Pareto and time series. All right, that's it on this one.